All right, from Bangalore, Pune, Nashik, Bangalore, Mumbai, Krishnan from Delhi, Vishal from Delhi, Ashwin from, where is Ashwin from? Nashik, Bangalore. Okay, Bangalore. Lovely. Good to see so many people from all over the world. Oh, there is someone from Moscow as well. Ashwin from Moscow. All right. Now we are talking. All over the world, the power of technology. Rajasthan, Ajmer, Nagpur, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, Kanpur, Mysore, Chennai, Hosur, wonderful, Pune, Bangalore again, West Bengal, Bihar, Bhojpur, amazing. Anurag from Bangalore, Navi Mumbai, and Ludhiana. My God, unbelievable. Saket from Vijayawada. I am so happy to see all of you. I can't tell you how excited I am to see so many learners from all over the world. Thank you so much for joining School of Meaningful Experiences webinars. And we are facing some of the most unprecedented times that have faced humanities. And it's a very, very uncertain world that I can completely understand how it might be creating anxiety in all of you. All I can say is that please hang in there, please stay safe, and it's very essential to follow social distancing right now. I know all of you would want to wait for 14th of April and then go back to work. My request is please don't do that. Please stagger and follow social distancing. This threat is not over yet, and it's not going to stop on 14th of April. We have to all be very, very careful. And some of you are saying that I'm not audible. Am I audible to the others? Please either do a thumbs up or you could give me a reaction. All right. So audible to everyone. A couple of my
Yes, audible.
friends. Excellent. Okay. And some requests. Please stay mute. I think we will just follow a basic protocol that I will talk and we will use the chat window to chat with each other. This reduces the noise that we all have, and it helps us manage the entire webinar. Like right now, there is somebody in a very noisy place, so I muted you all. And so remember to stay mute. And if you have something to share, please either gesture me using your thumbs up, or you could use a non-verbals, or you could chat with me, and I and my team would be there for you. My team, Avantika, Ruben, and Abbas are also there. Anirudh also should be there, and you could chat with one of us if you have any questions. That's how we will manage it. Um, Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I started School of Meaningful Experiences about a year and a half ago, and the decision I had in front of me was either I become a full time academic or I become an entrepreneur. And I had experienced this concept about 11, 12 years ago when I was in the corporate world. Should I be a corporate person or should I become a teacher? And I followed my heart to pursue teaching. And I think that was one of the best decisions I've taken. And the same concept I felt 1.5 years ago, where I was very happy being a teacher. I was enjoying myself teaching in awesome places, one of them being my own alma mater, where I did the 3 year part time MBA program called PGSM, and that's IIM Bangalore. And I've been teaching there for the last 9 years. And I was very contented to get my teaching job and go back home and many other colleges I would go to. But when I started working with a lot of executives and teenagers, I started to see that the problem of communication is so much more than just few classes. And that's when I said that I'm going to start my own startup and founded School of Meaningful Experiences. And through this platform, I would like to convey that there is one problem that I want to work with, and that is how do we become more confident and how do we communicate better? And how do we become more curious and apply creativity? How do we collaborate with each other? And how do we apply competence in our day to day work? So, given this background and the work that we do, uh, I'd like to talk about what these six C's are and why are they so important for you and for me. And in this, I'd like to engage with you. So I have about 10 to 15 minutes of concepts, and then I would like to open up the engagement with you, have some questions with you, and that's what we'll do. So there is a wonderful discussion I was having with some of my friends yesterday. Here is what I think is happening in the world. I started observing that all my friends around the world started doing reunions online. Everybody's in a lockdown state, and in a lockdown state, the basic human behavior starts to come out, and you can't keep people indoors, and it's very hard to stay indoors. So while I'm myself saying that please stay indoors, I can tell you that it is so hard. And every few hours I do wear a mask and I just go out in the balcony and then take a small little round in my apartment complex. Try not to talk to people. But when I look at people around us and around me on Zoom, all of us are trying to come together. All of us want to communicate. All of us cannot survive without each other. And I find this a very bizarre issue that in a lockdown, we all want to come together. But in an office where everybody is together, we don't talk to each other. We don't communicate. We don't talk about what's bothering us. There, we just do our emails, kind of go to meetings and bumble something. And when it comes to getting work done, it doesn't happen. So there is a lot of problems that come because of these six C's in the corporate workplace. And how these are all connected, I'll tell you my own experience that when I was in Intel, I was working for a Japanese client, and I was about 22 or 23 at that time, very poor in engineering, but very good in communication. And that's the only thing I could do. I could understand the customer's problem. So there was one issue the Japanese customer had, that there is a feature in the laptops that you see that takes the port from the laptop and connects it to the television. So you can watch a TV or a DVD on a television. And this was a great feature in 2001 when the laptops were just beginning to come out. And everybody had a television at home, and everybody were beginning to get a laptop, and the laptop soon became the center of the digital entertainment. So people wanted to connect the two devices, and there was a special connector in Japan which had to be incorporated in the laptop. And nobody wanted to talk about that problem because it's very expensive. So I started to talk to the Japanese clients and began to understand their cultures and figured out that it's very easy to do that. And the problem was that the organization that I was working was, we were very busy dealing with all other things. So I figured out a plan, collaborated with two or three other engineers who were very happy to work with me, and solved that problem for this customer. And I didn't know that what I had done for this customer with the help of collaboration with two of my friends, and my role was just to facilitate this whole conversation, was a huge business revenue increase. And I got a reward. And I was told that, hey, you just seem to get your work done. So I started teaching others how to communicate and how to collaborate. And then I started working with youngsters, and I found out that it's not that we don't know how to communicate. It's not that we are born with certain skills. I think we are scared to communicate. We are afraid of our bosses. We are afraid of our customers. We are afraid of our peers. And we are afraid that if we say something and if they think I'm stupid, that is issue number one. Issue number two is if I say something and they say no. So we are very afraid of rejections. And number three is when we are in this phase, we also feel that we might say something and get reprimanded. So there's a lot of fear and anxiety because of communication. Second thing is our education system has made us cram a lot of information. So we are very good in memorizing, maybe putting it in a piece of paper. But when it comes to expressing, we just don't do that. And our education system has been so terrible that when we come out of it, I still remember all of us when we graduated from college, many of us said that we'll never go back to a classroom again. And to me, that is a disaster. That if an education system creates hatred towards learning, how will a person become more curious and how will they ever learn? So curiosity is the other thing which I work on. And then if you're not curious, you're not going to be creative. And if you're not all of these things, you're not going to be competent and your career is going to be pretty much stopped. Now, having said that, I'll take you to a movie and I'll show you some slides on what these concepts are. And then we'll take one step at a time. And I'm going to share my screen with all of you. And my screen share should come towards you in three, two, one, and done. So I hope you can see all of this and you can also chat with me. And there's this amazing movie called Gravity. Have you seen this movie, Gravity? Can you chat with me and tell me, can you see the screen? All right, so a lot of people have said this. One of you has chatted with me that can we record the session? My answer is you always can, but we are also recording the session and we will send the recording to all of you in an email in the next 24 hours. Now, here is this movie called The Martian, and it's a phenomenal movie. If you have not watched this movie, I encourage you to watch this movie. There's a group of people who are on a space exploration and they are sent to Mars. One of them is this botanist called Mark Watney. And because of an accident, everybody else runs to the spaceship and he kind of falls down and an explosion and he's unconscious. So people think that he's dead. So instead of checking that whether he's safe or not, they just have to save their own life. They climb up the space rocket and they fly out of Mars. And after a few hours, Mark Watney comes to consciousness and he is the only survivor on Mars. And when you are the only person on Mars, you don't even know how the others would think about you. The first thing you have to think about is survival. And this movie documents that for about 1 hour, 20 minutes, how he survives life on Mars. And if you think about his challenges are that he's all alone. So how does he keep himself motivated? And if you look at our lives right now, we are all alone. Many of us are isolated, quarantined, in a self-imposed or imposed quarantines, and we are working, and we are pretty much alone. And the only hope we have is somebody else waiting out for us. So if you think of the similarities of where we are to what we are trying to do, I think this is the starting point of this movie. That how do you keep yourself motivated? And this is where a lot of mindset comes into thinking. So Mark Watney creates a plan for himself. He has a schedule, and he tells himself that if I have to survive, I have to keep my brain very healthy. I have to exercise. I have to keep myself happy, and he follows all of that to the T. And then very soon he realizes that the food is getting over. Now, if he has to survive, he needs food. So he starts thinking that how do I grow food? And he's a botanist and he has no clue about how to farm and how to produce oxygen and how do you make chemical reactions. So he learns all of that. So he's very curious. He reads all the manuals available to him. And please understand, nobody at Earth and nobody in the spaceship knew that he's alive. And we'll come to that in a little bit. So he's all alone, food is getting over. So he figures out how to grow potatoes. And that's a fascinating 15-minute process, which is documented in that movie. And that takes a lot of movie making. So curiosity helps him figure that problem out. He not only grows potatoes, but he creates a farm where oxygen is flowing. So he creates a machine that creates oxygen. And in Mars, there's no atmosphere. So he creates an atmosphere. and he pretty much learns all these things that we learn in classrooms. Then he's very creative, so he figures out a way to be very creative. So he starts moving around because he knows that if he moves around, somebody in the labs in India will notice some movements and then they will find out that he's alive. And way back on Earth, somebody is observing Mars and then they observe a speck moving. And that's how they find him. And that's when they figure out that he's alive. And then they communicate with each other using hexadecimal systems. Then they create a plan for him to be brought back to the space station. It's a phenomenal movie. But if you look at Mark Watney and this movie, he uses those 6 C's. First of all, curiosity helps him grow potatoes. Creativity helps him solve those tough problems of survival which he faces every day. Collaboration helps him figure out those solutions with the help of people on Earth. Competence helps him realize how to make decisions and how to apply these skills. Confidence is something that he knows he has to do, otherwise, he will not survive. And finally, communication. His ability to quickly send messages, receive messages, communicate with himself as well. And if you start learning these 6 C's, which are rooted in leadership studies, I feel that your career will be a lot more positive and will be a lot more impactful. Now, are we born with these skills or can we grow these skills? I come from a school of thought that you can grow them. I'm a person who did not have these skills when I was younger, and I was grateful to have good mentors, good opportunities, and probably I enjoyed learning. I still do. And sometimes your teachers are not very experienced people, sometimes your teachers are a small child as well. So my daughter teaches me a lot and my son teaches me a lot. My wife and my friends and my colleagues, they all teach me a lot. So learning can come from all the places. And I believe, and this is my message to all of you, many of you have severe problem in English because we come from vernacular mediums, including me. And my textbooks were in Hindi medium, so I had to translate that to English and write the exam. Fortunately, I had a group of friends who were good in English, and we were in a school that was English medium, so I kind of survived. But I know many of us can't, and vernacular is a very big problem. And my first message to all of you is that English is not communication, it is just a tool. Your communication is so much more. It is your personality, it is your choice of words, it is the way you express yourself. And yes, English does help, but it doesn't mean that you have to speak a Shashi Tharoor English. I think you can get by few words. And if you have an accent in it, it's okay. People don't feel bad about accents. And if you look at the world leaders, many of them have very strong accents. French leaders, Japanese leaders, American leaders, Chinese leaders, and Indian leaders. Many of them have very strong vernacular background, and it's all right. So you can communicate without knowing English. The second thing is, which is confidence. And confidence is what I think I encourage you all to start working on a little bit more, because confidence is something that we as a society have fell flat on. And it comes from our education system when we compare each other. When the person who gets more marks is always treated as the rock star of the class, our confidence drops. And if you're not the topper of the class, and if the teachers don't like you, and if your parents say, Ki, Arey, your friend came first and you didn't come first, your confidence shatters. When we come in the corporate world, somebody else is given a promotion than us, our confidence shatters. When we come into a group and when they compare what we have to what they have, our confidence shatters. So these things are very critical for us. And my request to you is that please increase your investment in your own confidence. There is no one out there who's going to help you. These are things you have to do it for yourself. It is possible to increase confidence. It is possible to increase your esteem. It requires effort, just like how you spend time on your finances every day and you have a habit of investment for a better future. Please invest in these things so that you have a better future. Third, curiosity. I think a very big part of learning comes from being very curious. And there's a fascinating movie and a book that I encourage you to read, and you should all probably, I'm sure you've heard about it. It's called Alice in Wonderland. And not only Alice in Wonderland, all our Indian stories are full of amazing curiosity based issues. And curiosity is nothing but this simple view of learning something new, a desire that I want to get to the bottom of it. And sometimes just learning a culture or food habits of somebody else can also be very, very important. So please be a little bit curious. Please be a lot more able to learn. There is so much internet will bring for you freely. It requires just you to sit down and spend some time. Now, I also must tell you that when you are highly stressed, when you are highly anxious, curiosity goes down because those same brain areas which are helpful to learn are completely shut down. So please try to look at your learning abilities. Many times, my students and my learners come to me and say that, Sir, I just cannot read a book. I find it very boring. I take a book and within like 2 sentences, I kind of put the book down and I can't do that. And my answer to that is there is not much we can do about it. It could be an issue of stress or it could be an issue of just your personal boredom, but you must make an effort to learn and you must make an effort to do something about it. A couple of my friends are chatting and saying that there is a voice breakdown. I'm sorry about that. One idea I have for everybody is that if you could switch off your videos, that might be very helpful. Sometimes there's a bandwidth issue on your side, and somebody else can hear me very clearly. Some of you can't. So please switch off your videos, and that's a good idea for you to pick up the bandwidth. The fourth area is creativity, the ability to use your imagination. And this is where, if you do something with your hands, I think that's very important. Unfortunately, in the corporate world, we are always doing something with the laptop. That is not creativity, that's just like typing some things. You can be creative if you are writing something on the laptop, but it is more to do with creative writing. My suggestion is creativity goes in all directions, but it means that if you can use your imagination to do something different. The fifth one is probably my biggest problem, which I find these days in the corporate world, that people just have stopped collaborating with each other. And to me, this is the most serious problem. Here are two requests I have for all of you. Whenever you have 5 minutes and you have a tea break, I hope the lockdown gets over and you all have a tea break or a lunch break. Please don't sit with your best friends. Please sit with people you don't know. And this is something which is an investment called networking. And always drink chai or coffee with somebody you don't know, get to know each other. Sit down at lunch with people who you don't know, even including your managers and bosses. They would be very, very happy to have you sit. But when you sit with them, don't discuss your salary problems, don't discuss your career problems with them. Please keep all these things away from the lunch table. I mean, if I'm the manager, I don't want my employees and my team to come and discuss the job issues. We'll discuss it after lunch. Use that time to help each other and network with each other. And the last is competence. Competence means decision making, your skills and your craft and your ability to do something different. And I have two suggestions for you. One is please make choices, please decide faster, and please do something which moves you forward and negotiate in this process. When you make choices, I don't think you can always have what you desire. You'll have to let go of something and you have to give something. This is the time I would encourage you to start asking questions. The questions are on. I have just one or two more concepts that I'd like to share with you and also talk to you about our program. And here is the very famous comfort zone to growth zone that I'd like to leave you with, and then I'll take your questions. I can already see questions coming. Kumar, Anupam, I will take your question and I will talk about it. I saw you yesterday in the webinar as well. I'll take your question today. Others, please start questioning. I mean, not questioning, but please send your questions to our chat window. All of us are in our comfort zones, and my suggestion is that when you're in your comfort zones, a very big problem is that we don't go to the learning zone because the fear is in between. All of us want to do something, but we're afraid what will happen if we do something. So fear is nothing but lack of confidence. We find excuses ki kal karenge, parson karenge. And I think those are issues that I find. But if you can move from comfort zone and take the leap into the fear zone, I think you'll reach the next zone, which is the learning zone. And the learning zone is when you'll start dealing with problems, you'll acquire new skills, and you'll extend yourself. And the final is that once you go out of this, you reach the final stage, which is the growth zone. This is where you find a purpose. This is where you conquer your objectives. And the beauty of this system is that once you're in the growth zone, after a few months, you'll again go back in the comfort zone. So I think we need to constantly improve. Nobody will tell you to do it. You have to be self motivated. And this is what I will leave you with. And this is where I will start engaging with you and taking your questions. I promised Kumar that I'll take his questions first. And here is his question that comes in. Kumar says that I have recently given my 12th boards and I'm a student of PCM section and I'm quite confused about career. I'm not interested in engineering, but I want to have a career where I can remain connected with technology. I want to know, is there any career option available? What are its requirements? Kumar, this is a good confusion. I went through the same confusion, but here's my observation. I think you're trying to find a capsule for a problem, and I'm sorry, there is no capsule available for you. My suggestion is pick up anything that you want to do. If you're not interested in engineering, pick up something else. But nobody can tell you what to do. And you need to stop depending on third party. I'm happy to tell you what you should do, but it's your life. And you have to take account of your own life. Ask yourself, is there anything you're good at? And if you're good at that particular skill, take that as a study and then move on. For example, let's say you're very good in sports. I'm just making this up. Pick up a further degree in sports and see if there's a career in that. And if you're interested in mathematics, pick up a career in mathematics. If you're interested in singing, dancing, pick up a career in arts. So there is plenty of options available. But my suggestion to you is please stop depending on Rakesh or anybody else. People like me can give you lots of ideas, but it's your life and we will walk away. So you have to take control of your life. The next question comes from Usha. Usha says tips to boost confidence. Usha, excellent question. Here are first and foremost. Confidence increases when you are with people who appreciate you. So find people who appreciate you. My suggestion to many of us is that we are sometimes in toxic relationships and those people criticize us a lot. This could mean parents, this could mean spouses, this could mean managers, and this could mean customers. So if your environments are highly toxic and they don't appreciate you, your confidence will go down. So step number one, please find people who appreciate you. Step number two, don't start depending on those people because you have to depend on yourself. So please learn one word called self-compassion and tell yourself that I'm a good person, I'm capable of doing this, and increase your confidence with that. Third is there's a lovely TED talk, you could Google it, and the TED talk says that if you can take any small objective or accomplishment, like for example, I will write a book in 30 days, and make sure you write a book in 30 days. That increases confidence. So take small steps, but make sure you accomplish them. One other accomplishment I've heard a lot of people doing is that they are going for running these days. So run 100 meters, 200 meters. Tell yourself that I will probably finish this entire cupboard cleaning today and finish it. Because when you finish that, your confidence goes up. And confidence is like a drop of water. It's like a big vessel. You have to keep filling water on the top, and the vessel keeps leaking. So you have to keep adding more and more so that it always has a balance. Low self confidence can be very dangerous. It can result in so low self esteem and also depression. So my request is keep your confidence levels up. There's a lot of research on exercise and confidence. So please stay fit, go and play something. I can probably speak for 20 hours on this topic, but these are the few tips you can probably take use on. All right. So there's a my senior from 1988. I don't know your name, but Here's a question he has posted to everyone. Is there any chance to improve communication skills? Yes, of course. Please come to our programs. We are launching our executive program on 18th April. And for all of you, here is the offer. We are announcing a special rate for all of you, slash the prices, because we also want to support the immense trouble we are all going through in the coronavirus. The original price was slightly at a stage X, but we are giving a 25% discount. So the new pricing for all of you are 16,999 plus taxes. So roughly 20K if you add the GST, and you can pay in two installments. We are not in a hurry to take your money. So please talk to Ruben. The number is 767600969. We have been doing this program for quite some time, and we believe that we can help you. And please join our program. Here's a question from Arnab Ghosh to everyone. For a fresher who's going to start their career in sales and marketing, but may have different passion like teaching, how can they balance and take the career decision? Thanks. Arnab, you have to decide between passion and reality all the time. This is a constant dilemma of life. Bills have to be paid. So always remember that you have to, you know, be responsible to yourself and to your loved ones, and also fulfill your passions. We are going to do a webinar very soon where I'm going to call one of my students. He is a very successful sales and marketing guy in a very big company, but he's also a stand-up comedian, and he's able to balance both very well. And I was able to do that when I was working. I was in sales and marketing in Intel and Qualcomm, but on weekends I was a teacher. So my request to you, Arnav, please start teaching on weekends. And if you have a weekday job of sales and marketing, continue on that. And the day you feel I can balance my life with my passion, please take a plunge. You can also listen to our podcast called Plunge, freely available, where I talk about this. And please join our webinar every Sunday, where we will keep talking about these things. One more participant, Aniket Jondhale. I hope I pronounced your name right. My apologies if I'm not. How to put forth one's point effectively in an argument, especially with your manager, without offending him or her. Basically, Aniket, I will not take any responsibility for what I'm going to tell you, because if you go and do something and then put the blame on me, that's not the right idea. But I think this is a big problem, and this is called being assertive. And when you have a power difference, that your boss is more powerful and you are less powerful, we are not able to be assertive. And you need to understand that your power is a big problem of your confidence. And your confidence can be improved if you bring yourself up, and if you say that I am as equal as anybody else. My suggestion to you is that your manager is only doing a role. And if you can help your manager make sure that you also are equally important. So, two suggestions. One, the issue is not whether you are effective or not. The issue is that do you have the confidence that can you handle your manager? And that confidence is what you should learn. And the second thing is, please be aware that the choice of words is very important. So you have to be aware of how your words will impact. And this is called tactfulness. And our programs talk about this. So our 6C programs have sessions where we talk about this. We have case studies about these things. So please talk to Ruben and get to know our programs and join us if you can. Jimesh Doshi asks a question. Sir, I have a tiles business. How should I increase business? Jinesh, I'm sorry I can't help you with this question, but you're welcome to send us some samples. If we like them, we will place some orders. We will tell all our students to also come to you. I'm sorry, I'm not an expert in tiles business, so I won't be able to help you. Nana, hi Rakesh, how can I feel more at ease in communicating with people? Sometimes I tend to get awkward. Sometimes I think I give too much information. How to talk the right way yet being warm and establishing rapport? Nana, I think here is my very little observation, because I don't know you, but I can give you some perspectives. I think you are communicating fairly well, but you're also very conscious of what people think of. I think that's the issue. And I have a feeling you're not awkward. I have a feeling you are very good. So there could be two issues. One, you have very low self confidence, which is very normal. It happens to all of us. And two, you also suffer from social anxiety. And social anxiety is becoming very common in our world. We are very afraid of what people judge and think about us. So if you can solve those issues, I think these issues will solve. And you can, of course, become better at communication by practicing how to script your words, practicing them before you can go out, and use these techniques to feel a little bit more confident. So to summarize, I think you may have a self-confidence issue and you may have a social anxiety issue. Fix them first. I think the other part of communicating will come very easy to you. And by the way, if you guys don't know, it is raining outside. It's a lovely, lovely rain coming outside. So please also enjoy the rain while you're enjoying this webinar. There is a question from Ishika Roy. Difficult to leave comfort zone. Ishika, I completely agree with you. Naturally, we human beings have inertia in it, and it's very hard to come out of it. So don't worry too much. Don't push yourself. Take your time and take small steps. And it's okay not to come out of the comfort zone. Not everybody can become what they want to become. Sometimes you have to sacrifice your ambitions and tell yourself that I will not be able to do it, and that's completely acceptable. So don't do it to please others. Do it for yourself. Um, then there are some comments, not questions. Today, people have become, Ajay Shaj asks a question. Today, people have become highly sensitive and unable to take feedback in the right spirit. So, no matter how clear we are, they are always looking for only praise for their work. How to deal with such interpersonal communication? Brilliant question. Ajay, there are two suggestions for you. First is the reason people are becoming sensitive is that people are getting very irritated because of the lack of appreciation they get. So when you are having a conversation with them and you are giving them feedback, they're anyway burdened with a lot of feedback, negative feedback. So here's a question which is a philosophy question for you. If somebody is asking you for feedback, then you give it. But if somebody is not asking for feedback, my request is ask yourself, is it worth giving? And this is something we have a full session in our school, in our program, where feedback we practice very hard. And people appreciate when you first give good news and then talk about how you can improve. And feedback also has this power play and superiority that I think you should do that. And not everybody likes to hear these sentences. So I don't think it's a sensitivity issue. It's an issue that we have to ask ourselves, that is the problem with the other person or is the problem with me? And I have learned that the problem actually sometimes is with me, that I feel that the other person is very sensitive, but maybe I have been too harsh in my words. So please change your words. Please be a little bit kinder to people. And please hold your feedback only when somebody asks you for it. Please give that. Other than that, it's your opinion. Nobody cares for your opinion. And at School of Meaningful Experiences, we give a lot of time on these issues because these are new concepts. And sometimes as managers, we are supposed to give feedback all the time. In those times, my suggestion to you is balance it with positive and negative. Yesterday, we had a webinar with my teenager, and my teenager said very openly that I do one thing wrong and 10 things right. And you always pick up the one thing wrong. And I thought that was such a beautiful message all of us can learn from, that if you can also give good feedback, Ajay, I have a feeling that your audiences will be able to take the negative feedback also. So we all learn and become better. All right, great questions. Vaishali, my question is, when I started learning a new thing, I learn it at a very fast pace. But after that initial boost, it's hard to continue. That thing gets boring and is left. So not able to get any skill built up. Vaishali, very good question. Very normal. We are infatuated towards new things. And after some time, the infatuation drops. There is a TED talk about it as well. And boredom is a very big part of learning. And there is something called the 10,000 hour rule. So you should push yourself or you be prepared to get discouraged. There is, I think, a lot of research is done that if you overcome the first few days of boredom and keep at it, I think you'll have a better time. There's a movie I'd like to recommend you, Vaishali, and by now you would realize that I'm a big movie buff. There's a movie called Karate Kid, and I hope all of you have seen it. The modern one where Jackie Chan and Will Smith's son, I forgot his name. It'll come to me. And so there's a scene where Jackie Chan starts to teach kung fu to this guy, the young boy, and he comes every day thinking that today I'll learn kung fu, martial arts, kickboxing, this and that. But Jackie Chan makes him go to one place, remove his jacket, put it up on a hook, and do that all the time. And the guy gets really bored. And after many days, Jackie Chan then teaches him that right kung fu move, which is about opening the jacket and putting up on there. So I think repetitiveness can be very boring. Infatuation can fall down, but you, Vaishali, have to keep at it because there's a curve. And once you form, when you cross that curve, that's when the skill gets developed. Akshat Mittal writes to everyone how to work upon sharpening these 6 C's of leadership to become the best. Akshat, very easy. Just like how you brush your teeth, just like how you clean yourself, just like how you maintain your financial statements, just like how you make sure you call up your boss to tell him that I'm working, invest in 6 C's. Talk to people more, stay away from your best friends because you'll never learn 6 C's with them. I think you learn 6 C's when you come out of your comfort zone. Your best friends are your comfort zone. Talk to people you're very uncomfortable. And if you're a student, this is a very big problem in students. All students will talk only to their friends, and that too only to those friends who speak their language. So all the people from Tamil Nadu will speak to only Tamil people. All the people from Gujarat will only speak to Gujarati people. And this is a big problem. And when you go to a corporate world or when you become an entrepreneur, you will not work only with a Gujarati or a Tamil person. You will meet anybody in the world. And I encourage you to do these small things and take small steps, write more emails, record yourself and upload your videos, tell your friends to give feedback. That's how you keep investing in the 6 C's of leadership. And Akshat, please join our program. I think we can give you a roadmap to become a great leader. All right, some appreciation from Usha. Thank you. Ripendra Kumar asks a question. I'm a business analyst with 7 years of experience. I can communicate effectively through emails, but when I need to speak in front of a bunch of people, my mind gets blank. Hope this course will help me. Ripendra, this is exactly the first class of our course. What you're experiencing is called glossophobia. We are very afraid of people, and especially when you have to speak in front of them. Social anxiety is very high, but I'll give you a suggestion. Fear has a spectrum. Some people are less afraid, some people are more afraid, and you can reduce fear by practice. Just like how people are trained to jump from planes to do parachuting, we can teach you how to become a paratrooper. We can learn communication. So please invest in the training program, if not with us, with someone else. But I believe that you can overcome it just by practice. And I myself was a person who was not a very good speaker, had a stammering problem, social issues. I was also quite fat in my childhood. People used to make fun of me. So all these things do come in communication. And I believe that with practice and feedback and appreciation and repetitiveness, I think you can at least overcome this fear. Harikesh Vyas, how does one motivate employees to get done things done as a leader? Also, there are a lot of office politics which don't help. How can communication between teams be effective and frictionless? Harikesh, a very big part of human life is to manage politics with each other. Politics is not a bad word. It is an essential word of social order. When people come together, everybody is very different. And when everybody is very different, their way of decision making is very different, and politics comes in. And politics is nothing but managing each other's expectations and getting what you want. And you have to learn to be a better politician. So please don't think that you as a manager or an employee can stay away from politics. I think this world is very, very complex. You have two choices, and I say this in all my classes. If you can't deal with politics, go to Himalayas and sit there and meditate. But if you want to live in Bangalore, Bombay, Delhi, Coimbatore, or any city and do a job and earn money, I think money comes with politics, power comes with politics. So learn how to deal with it. And very easy to do this. Our families know how to deal with politics. Our mothers and daughter-in-laws know how to deal with politics. So why is it that we as employees and managers can't learn this simple skill? I think the answer is we don't like it. And we should learn how to deal with it. It's almost like eating Karela. And I don't like Karela, but some of my friends love Karela. And if I can develop a habit of eating Karela because it has health benefits, I think I'll learn how to eat that. So, Harikesh, it might be distasteful, but it is essential. And your job as a manager of the future is to learn to be a good politician with ethical foundations, with a pride that people talk about you. And we do discuss these things in our courses. Shrey Shivam, sir, how to know whether a person I'm approaching to communicate is in a mood to communicate? It becomes very embarrassing when you approach somebody and he's not interested in talking. Shrey, tell me about it. I can tell you stories after stories where I've approached people and made a fool of myself. But here's my request to you. The only thing I lose when the other person is not interested is a little bit of embarrassment, and this embarrassment is my own mind. And there is a word in Hindi, it's called ijjat, not izzat. Izzat is a very nice word. This is that Hindi dirty word, ijjat. And my ijjat has no value. It's nothing but my ego. So the only price I'm paying is little bit of my ijjat, and nobody cares about it. So don't worry too much about it, Shrey. Go to that person, and if you get embarrassed, deal with it, go again, and your work will get done. This is very important for us to understand, because don't try and please people. Embarrassment comes when others think you are bad. If your self-esteem and self-confidence is very high, embarrassment is zero. And please invest in your self-esteem and self-confidence. And always say that Rakesh also makes fool of himself. If Rakesh can live, I can also live. So don't worry too much about it. All right. I've taken Aniket's question, so I'll take somebody else's question. Sandhya, graduate students are not interested to study in class. They like to make TikTok videos instead of sitting in library or in class. Sandhya, I empathize with you. My students also do that. I've been teaching for 9 years in full courses in the best colleges of India, and I cannot stop them to use cell phone. They are chatting with each other. But here's my question to you. I hope you realize why they are chatting with each other and why they love making TikTok. And the answer is it's much more fun. And we as teachers have failed. We are very boring. We are slapping textbooks that have no meaning. We are giving lectures in a time when attention span is very low. So obviously they will go to TikTok. So please help all of us solve this problem. As a teacher, we have to now become not only a teacher, but we have to also understand that this person in front of us is very intelligent and very bored. That's why they're on TikTok, and all their creativity is going on TikTok. So if I can channelize that creativity into my work, which means I have to work harder in my lecture plan, I have to behave not only as a teacher, but also as an entertainer, I think we'll become better teachers. And this is my request to all of you who are in the teaching business. I think we should stop saying we are teachers. I think we are guides. And guides are, we are also figuring out this direction. We also don't know what will happen tomorrow. We are also anxious. So if we can all learn together, I think that's good. So my request to you, Sandhya, is I don't think it's the student's problem. I think the teacher is very horrible. So obviously they will not be interested to study in class. Um, I will send the TED Talks Usha separately. I will probably in the email Ruben sends it out to you. We'll compile some TED Talks and send it to you. One person has given me a private message. When you're straightforward in the way you talk, often you're misunderstood as being rude, sarcastic. Brilliant question. Not everyone can accept things told on their face, even if it is said what is the truth. I have mellowed over the years. However, that's an innate quality. Often I have to consciously tell myself, do not talk. Any thoughts? I think we will take this question, Divya. I'll tell you a little bit of a story for just 2 minutes. We have to learn the art of choosing the right words. And this is called tactful communication. And there's a very famous story of Akbar and Birbal. That Birbal, you all know, was a court jester and a very wise man, and Akbar was the Jahapana. And one day, an astrologer comes to Akbar, and Akbar shows his hands. And the astrologer looks at Akbar's hands and says, Jahapana, all your loved ones and everybody in your family will die before your eyes. And Akbar gets very angry because he's like, boss, you're a horrible person. It's a very bad news. Put this person in the jail. And this guy, astrologer, looks at Birbal ki, yaar, I'm telling the truth. So he's put in the jail, and Birbal goes and says that, who asked you to speak like this? Come, I'll tell you how to speak. So Birbal whispers something in this astrologer's ears and then goes to Akbar and tells Akbar that Jahapana, this astrologer made a mistake. I think you should give him a chance, and he wants to see your hand again. So Akbar says, okay, I'll give him a chance, bring him up. So the astrologer comes and looks at Akbar's hands and says, Jahapana, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. You will outlive everybody else in this kingdom. Basically, the same message, but told differently. And this person who asked me this question, that I'm too direct. My request is that there is a fine line between being direct and honest and being pertinent. And sometimes communication is about the other person. In all my classes and in all my work, my only request to you is, have you thought about the other person? Can the other person handle the truth? And if the answer is yes, go ahead and tell the truth. But if the answer is no, he can't handle it, obviously you'll get beaten up. So you have to decide differently. And this course, 6 C's, in many ways is like cooking. You don't cook a dish without thinking who will eat it. Otherwise, it's a disaster. If the person has a sweet tooth and if you've given him a spicy dish, he will not like it. You can't say, I'm a great chef, I'm an honest chef, I gave spicy dish. The person likes sweet dishes. If you can't give it to him, you're a bad chef. So, this person, please learn the art of conversations. It's not impossible, and I think we need to do that. So there are many more questions coming up. Oh, so that person from 88 is Sunil Dobal. Sunil ji, my super senior, please welcome to join my program. There is one more program. There is one more question. A comment from Anchal Daga. Plunge is a wonderful podcast. Thank you very much. Please listen and give us some comments there. There is a question from another person to me privately, and we are at 6:54. I'll take one or two more questions. The other questions we are going to compile and put it up on our podcasts, and we'll talk about it. Sometimes I've been thinking too much while communicating with clients to make good impression, but at the end, neither I could convey my message properly, nor I left any impression. I think this again comes from self confidence and self doubt. I think we need to, first of all, prepare and practice. And second thing is, I think we need to stop pleasing the world. And this question comes all the time. If your entire energy is on pleasing others, it only shows that you're low on self confidence and self esteem. And it's a very torturous life to live. You can live that life, there's nothing wrong in it. Many of us do live that life. Our mothers always wanted to please somebody in the family, our young ones please the parents and teachers. We pretty much please our boss and customers all the time. But it's a very stressful life. And you're welcome to live in stress. But if you can patch up your self confidence and increase your self esteem and disconnect that, hey, my impression on my customer does not define who I am, I think you'll have a great life and a great career. And this is true for students also. Many students come to me and say, sir, I want to go to this top calling, some top name college. And I understand their dream because they feel that if I go to this top college, I'll become more successful and people will like me. But the answer is no. Nobody will like you just because you went to a great college. That's your own self confidence. And if you're just trying to please people, there are so many movies, so many books. And at the end of the day, we have to work on these issues. So, my dear friend who asked me this question, I think this is not an issue with the customers, this is an issue with your self confidence. Um, there's one last question I'll take now. I've answered some of these questions. One question is about eye contact and anxiety issues. I'll probably take that up in one of the blogs. And there's one good question I'll take, and this is our last question. The others, we will also find a way to reach out to you. How do you increase vocabulary, and how do you work on your vocabulary? My request to you is that vocabulary increases when you read books, and in those books you underline those words and find the meaning, and the next step is using those words in your day-to-day language. Now here is a simple mathematical, which is research which I have done. It is not proven, it is anecdotal. If you want to be good in public speaking and only in certain language, let's say English, your mind should have lots of words of English to be able to do that. So imagine sentence construction as laying a wall with bricks. And you need to find a brick, which is a word from the brain, and put it. And the more thicker this wall and the more stronger, the better the sentence. So if your mind is not able to find that right brick, it only means that your mind does not have enough bricks. And this is where vocabulary comes in. So my request is please increase your vocabulary. I have seen that if you have a good, let's say 1200 to 1800 words in your vocabulary, very solid, I think you'll be able to do a great job. And if you can even increase it, I think it will only be better. But if you're struggling, it means that you are at 500, 600 level. You need to put more water in that well where bricks are, and more drops of English vocabulary or any linguistic vocabulary. The mind is nothing but a processing machine. So the more you give it to process, the better your cognitive skills become. It's a very complex linguistics process, but increasing vocabulary is a very good idea. And oh, somebody responded, Jaden Smith. Thank you. That was Jaden Smith in the Karate Kid. And one last question, since we are on this. People say to me, Jeremiah says, people say to me while presentation or interview, your voice is low, but I lose the comfort zone of speaking if I raise my voice. Jeremiah, I think you have a natural tone. It could be a soft tone. It could be a confidence issue. So my request is use a cell phone, and there is an app which you can record your own voice and increase your voice the next time and listen to your own voice. And the best way of listening or increasing your tonality is to vary it. So pick up any story from the web, let's say a donkey and the villager, and change it while you are speaking on the phone and listen to your own voice. Nobody will question you, nobody will judge you except yourself. But I have seen that if you listen to your own voice and practice, your voice becomes a lot better. And give yourself some time. All of us have very strong abilities in our larynx. And some of us, I can tell you, there's research that somebody with the most shrillest and the horriblest voice can learn to tone it down and become a singer. And somebody with the softest voice can raise it up to become a little bit better. In the olden days, in the times of kings and queens, voice was a very important part. In fact, there's a movie on it called The King's Speech, where the king used to stammer. And the reason there was a person hired to do that job was in those days, the kings would communicate using the broadcasting service and the radio. And they would stand up and give speeches in Wembley stadiums and large conferences. So the voice was very critical. And voice training is directly connected to leadership training. So my request to you, Jeremiah, please invest in it. It takes very little investment to increase your tonality and your tone. And there are many concepts. There's pitch, there is timbre, there is shrill. There are so many things. If you Google on it, you'll find some right resource and you can vary it and it's all done. And you don't need to sing a song in the corporate world. You just need to raise your voice so that the other person listens to you, and vary it so that they understand what you're saying. So we are at 7 o'clock. There are at least 75 more messages below. I promise I will read all of them, and I will try and respond in our podcast or in our recording. Two messages for all of you. Our admissions for our executive program batch online are open. The batch starts on 18th April morning, and the price is exclusive for all of you in the webinar, 16999 plus taxes, payable in two installments. Please refer it to your friends who you know can come. If you want me to come into your organization online and do a webinar for you, please contact Avantika or my colleagues, Avantika Ruben, and we'll be very happy to do a quick session with all of you. I want to talk about communication in the workplace. I want to talk about confidence. I want to talk about things like, here I have to tell my boss, no. How do I do that? Or I have to tell my employees that please work harder, don't drink too much coffee. How do I do that? And these are communication issues which I think are very easily resolvable. And please collaborate with each other so that we can solve this coronavirus problem and we can become a little bit more productive. I think from July, we are going to look at a very different world. So please invest this time in learning and look at our programs or any other programs that give you that leverage. So thank you very much. I had a great time with all of you, and I would love to. Somebody has shared their screen. This is amazing. Oh wow, it's gone. I really enjoyed watching that screen. But thank you very much, my colleagues Ruben and Avantika and Anirudh and Abbas. Thank you for joining and making this happen. We will summarize this entire recording in the next 24 hours or 48 hours. We'll upload it, email you the link, and in that we'll also put 2 3 TED Talks links that could be very helpful to you. So thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the rain and good night.